Okay, we're rolling. We are rolling. All right, well, welcome everybody. We're here today with Aisha Alexander of the Alexander Advantage, and we're going to be doing an update. Last year, we came to you with some updates about what's going on with higher education, COVID-19. Do I have to take the SAT? What all these questions that we're here to answer for you today. And of course, we've got our resident college prep expert, Aisha, with us. So Aisha, if you want to take things away, go for it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, as always, for that wonderful introduction, Chris. Once again, my name is Aisha Alexander. I am very well versed in college prep, and today we're going to be talking about COVID-19 and what is currently happening with higher education around COVID-19. As we all know, there were a lot of major changes that happened in 2020, including a lot of virtual learning, but I am here to report that things are definitely changing in the right direction. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was what is happening with standardized testing. Standardized testing meaning the SAT. We all know that we should be taking the SAT, right, in order to give our scores to that college or university of your choice, to hopefully set yourself apart from the other students that are applying to that same college and university. So what is happening with the SAT? Do I have to take the SAT? What is going on? So is the SAT test optional to take due to COVID-19? Yes, the SAT is still test optional, and it will be test optional through 2024. So I wanted to dive a little bit deeper and talk about what is test optional, just in case you forgot from last year, okay? So let's review a few differences in test optional, test flexible, and test blind colleges. So a test optional college lets you, the student, decide whether or not you are going to submit your test scores with your application. Most test optional schools will consider the SAT or the ACT scores if they are submitted, but focused on other factors they believe are stronger for them to look at to see if you're going to be a great student for that college, okay? Colleges look at your test scores. If you submit them, it's optional. They also look at your essay, recommendations, grades, and your coursework to see what type of student you will be going into that college and university. So test optional, you have the option to submit your SAT or ACT scores. We also have a test flexible college, and test flexible colleges let students submit other scores in place of the SAT and the ACT, such as SAT subject tests, which we'll talk about a little bit later too. There's changes to that. We have the International Baccalaureate exam or advanced placement test. So they let you submit other tests outside of the SAT and the ACT. That is a test flexible college. Next, we have a test blind college. And I will say these colleges are few, far, and in between, but I wanted to make sure I put this definition just in case you run into one. They will not consider test scores even if you submit them. All right, so let's go into our test optional policies, the same from college to college. So once again, test optional means that you have the option to submit your SAT or ACT scores. So let's look at some of the differences that may be happening with some colleges. So some colleges may require test scores for out-of-state or international students, or for students that are pursuing certain majors. So some colleges, even though it may be test optional, if you are an out-of-state student, an international student, or if you're pursuing a certain major, they will make you submit your SAT or ACT scores. Some test optional schools may determine your test optional eligibility using an index calculated by your GPA, your test scores, and your class rank. Some schools may ask you to submit test scores for placement in the freshman class or take a placement test. Some colleges may ask for additional materials such as test scores, such as examples of like scientific research that you may have done or additional recommendation letters. So what I do is I always encourage students to talk to the college or university that you are interested in. I want you to go to their website to see what their COVID-19 policies are around standardized testing, and also talk to a representative at the administration office, college administration office. Ask questions if you are not sure what their standardized testing policies are around COVID-19 and around being a test optional school. Okay, you're going to hear me say that a lot during this presentation. It's very important that you take initiative and you contact the school if you have questions about the standardized testing policies and other topics that we'll talk about today. All right, so I hear this question all the time. Ms. Aisha, if test optional schools are going to be in existence throughout 2024, do I have to take the SAT? Yes, 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 you do. Do you see this big exclamation? Yes, you do. Approximately 80% of students who apply to test optional schools will submit their scores. 80%. You do not want to be left out of that 80%. We want to make sure, right? We are giving as much criteria as possible for you to stand out from the crowd for that college or university. Also, some schools will make you submit your SAT or ACT scores regardless. This is because that you may be applying for a scholarship, you may be a transfer student, you might be an international student, an in-state student, homeschool student, if you're an athlete, or if you go to a school that has unconventional grading. They will ask you to submit your SAT or ACT scores regardless of it being a test optional school. So what does that mean? That means that yes, you should be preparing yourself to take that SAT or ACT exam. All right. Also, let's get real. University officials anticipate that admissions are going to get more and more competitive every single year. I wanted to run some statistics by you so you can get a better understanding of why it's so important for you to make sure that you take this SAT exam or ACT exam, okay? We have colleges that keep lowering their admissions, their acceptance rate, keep lowering it every year. Let's look at 2006. For the top 10 schools, their acceptance rate was 16%. 12 years later, 2018, their acceptance rate was only 6.4%. So as we can see, within that 12-year span, their acceptance rate has gone down. We're in 2021 and getting ready to go into 2022. So we can imagine that this trend will continue. So once again, you want to make sure that you stand out from the crowd and that you are giving that college or university as much information about yourself as possible to be accepted. Also, given how competitive admissions and scholarships have become, it's imperative that you provide as much information as possible about your academics, which includes the SAT and the ACT, and about any extracurricular activities you have done as a high school student, okay? I wanted to add within this context, if you were not able to take the ACT or the SAT, let's say you're a senior in high school and you ran into some type of health-related situations due to COVID-19, we all understand that everyone's situation is totally different around COVID-19, right? It is your responsibility to make sure that you, number one, contact that college admissions office and speak to someone about your special circumstance. And number two, you want to be prepared to elaborate why you were unable to take the ACT or the SAT in your application. Okay, those two things. But bottom line is that we are going to make sure we put our best foot forward. And yes, we are going to take that SAT or that ACT test. Let's be real. We do not want to be a part of the squid games when you know, whomever has the best performance. If you don't have the best performance, you're getting eliminated. You don't want that, right? You don't want that. You want to make sure you put your best performance possible. Okay, so you will not be eliminated. All right, so let's talk about the actual SAT structure due to COVID-19. Has the actual SAT structure changed? Yes, there are changes that have been happening to the SAT within the last 2 years that I want to go over. Okay, the reading, the writing, the language, and the mathematics sections will remain the same. I'll repeat that again. We have the reading, the writing, and the language mathematics sections of the SAT will remain the same. So when you go in to take that test, because you are, right, you are going to encounter those 3 sections. What's changing is the SAT subject test. The SAT subject tests are no longer applicable. They are discontinued. June 2021 is when they were discontinued. Another thing, the essay section. I guess some of you guys, hopefully some of you guys remember from my SAT workshop last year, or if you were in another SAT program, that you had an optional essay that you took, right? The essay portion of the SAT is also discontinued. So you will not have to take the essay when you go into take that SAT. Okay, so once again, SAT subject test and the essay are discontinued. They are out the door. All right, so let's talk about what happens. You're prepared, right? You're coming to my SAT workshop. You're prepared. What's going to happen when you go in to actually take that test? We also have some COVID-19 regulations around that I wanted to talk about. What should you bring? So on the test day of the SAT, this is a checklist of the things that you should be bringing to make sure that you are prepared to take that test. You want to make sure that you bring a mask. Bring 2 if you can, just in case you misplace one. You might be a little nervous. You might lose one. Bring 2 just in case. You want to make sure you bring your admissions ticket, an acceptable photo ID. That means a state ID. 2 number 2 pencils with erasers, and also an approved calculator. These are the things that you want to make sure that you bring when you are coming to slay the SAT that day. All right. All right. We're feeling good. We're feeling good. So how do you find out which of your colleges or universities are test optional? And how do you continue to receive updates just in case something continues to happen? One of my best websites that I go to make sure that I'm properly informed for you is fairtest.org. It's the National Center for Fair and Open Testing. They have some of the most accurate and up-to-date information about test optional colleges and universities from accredited colleges and universities. Also, you want to make sure you go to the ACT.org. They will always have updated information on their website about the ACT if there are any changes. College Board, of course, everyone here should have a College Board account, right? Why do we have a College Board account? Because we sign up for the SAT using College Board, and we also practice our SAT problems. So collegeboard.org is your best friend to check up for standardized testing updates, and also khanacademy.org. Okay. If you have pending questions, do not be afraid to reach out to the admissions office at your college of interest. So you're going to hear me say that again and again. You want to make sure that you have a good relationship with someone at that admissions office of your college or university.
Aisha, I love that piece of advice because I feel like folks need to remember that when you're applying for colleges, even though they, accept and don't accept some people, they want people to apply. So they have a vested interest in answering your questions. So definitely.
Absolutely. And you want to make sure that you establish, this is a relationship that you're going to have with this college for 4 years. So you do want to make sure, like Chris said, you have a vested interest in your future. And if you have pending questions, you're not afraid to reach out. They want you just as much as you want to be there too. So it's very important for you to make sure that you follow through. All right. So that was a synopsis of the SAT. Like I said, again, the SAT, you want to make sure you're prepared. You want to make sure that you come to my classes, my workshops that I have coming up after the holidays, and we'll reiterate some of the things that we talked about just a few minutes ago in regards to COVID-19, just to make sure that you are 100% prepared. Okay. So the next thing that we want to talk about is the vaccine. So this is a little bit different from when we spoke last year. Last year, it was more so with online learning, right? A lot of online learning, a lot of isolation, restaurants, schools, a lot of different facilities were closed. Now we have the COVID-19 vaccine that's come out. So things are starting to become a little bit different and become a little bit more normal, if you want to say that, due to the COVID-19 vaccine. So one of the questions that I get all the time is, will college classes be online or in person for fall 2021 and beyond? Remember 2020, all online, right? So 2021 and beyond, we are going back to in-person learning, okay? So after a year of us being stuck in front of the computer or attending classes due to limited capacity or social distancing, we have traditional college experiences that are going to be hitting us in the fall of 2021 and beyond. This is due to the COVID-19 vaccine mandates for in-person attendance. Okay, but once again, you want to be sure that you check with your college or university for more information about online or in-person classes. Okay. Do colleges and universities require the COVID-19 vaccine for admission? So currently over 1,000 colleges and universities require the COVID-19 vaccine for residential students. What is a residential student? A residential student is someone who is going to be staying on campus. Once you're vaccinated, students will likely have to upload proof of your immunization via the college's website. Okay, so we have more and more colleges that are saying, yes, we do require you to have the COVID-19 vaccine if you are going to stay on campus with us. This list continues to change. So you want to make sure that you check on the status of your college or university on your school's website. Okay, very important. Get your most up-to-date information on your school's website about the vaccine. This is a big one. Can I be admitted into my college or university if I'm not vaccinated? Okay, so there are some medical exemptions that are guaranteed by law in all states, as well as religious exemptions. Okay, so there are some exemptions from this, medical exemptions, as well as religious exemptions for not being vaccinated. If you are permitted on campus, so if they say, yes, we want you to be a residential student, but you are unvaccinated, you may be required to take COVID testing to make sure that you do not have COVID, okay? And there is a possibility that you may be excluded from activities like studying abroad. So I just wanted you to be aware of that as well, okay? So yes, there is a possibility that you can still attend that college or university if you are not vaccinated, but you may be required to take COVID testing. And there may be some activities that you may not be able to do because you are not vaccinated. So you just want to be aware of that as well. Let's talk about additionally, there may be some international students. We know that this is going live on YouTube, right? So I wanted to make sure that I did talk to international students as well, just in case we have one. If you are an international student and you're coming into the US and you want to go to college within the US, you may need to be vaccinated upon arrival. Our vaccines like Moderna and Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson are known in the US, but there are various vaccines that are in other countries, right? So they may not be as created equally in the eyes of the medical community or government agencies. So international students that want to come to the US in order to go to a college or university may have to be vaccinated upon arrival in the US, even if they were currently vaccinated in their home country. So, like I said again, if you want to find out more information about your school's COVID-19 vaccine requirements, make sure that you check with the school's website. Very important. All right. So what may my on-campus experience look like? So you are a senior, congratulations, you got into the college or university of your choice, you're excited. What is your on-campus experience going to look like now with this, vaccine mandates and with COVID-19? Mask and social distancing may not be required. Each school is different. So once again, I will say, go back to the website to check on their policies, but mask and social distancing may not be required. This is due to the vaccinations that have led to the reopening of what? Restaurants, bars, movie theaters, and other venues. The same may be likely for college campuses, where mask and social distancing may not be a part of COVID-19 protocol anymore. Okay, these decisions are driven by vaccination rates on campus. So each campus will be different. I just wanted to say the protocols are starting to loosen up a little bit due to the vaccine. All right. Additionally, colleges will follow traditional academic calendars. Before you remember, it was very sketchy. Some colleges only offered online learning. Others started to open up, but there were only a certain amount of students that could be on campus. The calendar, was a little sketchy. Moving into the fall of 2021 and beyond, we are moving into a traditional academic calendar. So what does that mean? That means that students should expect traditional academic calendar as far as breaks, spring break, Thanksgiving, Christmas break, assuming that the semester is not disrupted by spiking COVID-19 cases. So this is really a case-by-case situation on the college and university's campus. If they do have a spike in COVID-19, that calendar may change. If they do not, just assume that you will, as a freshman going into college, that you will have a traditional academic calendar with spring break, Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, and all the breaks that we're used to. Okay, so let's talk about what is going to happen in the dining halls and in the dorm rooms, because that's a part of your experience too. So dining halls and dorm rooms will have increased capacity. 2020, I would say the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, there was limited or minimized capacity where only certain students, a certain amount of students can go into the dining hall at a time. There was only one student that can be in a dorm room, live in a dorm room at a time. So capacity was very limited. Now, because of the COVID-19 vaccine, we see that we have increased capacity. College officials expect both dining and residence hall to return to capacity this fall. Also, to help prevent COVID-19, some colleges may require vaccines for students living in residence halls, with some limited exceptions. So, like we talked about before, yes, some colleges will take some students who do not have the vaccine, but it's with limited exceptions. Okay. What about college sports, right? Basketball, football. This is going to return back to business as usual. Okay. This, once again, is due to the capacity expanding from COVID-19 mandates. Indoor facilities are reopening, right? We have our restaurants that are opening, our movie theaters that are opening. This includes college campuses where indoor events happen. So you can expect to be able to go to basketball games and football games and other sporting events, just like the past. All right. So let's dive in. I didn't want to forget about financial aid. For me, financial aid is one of the most important topics to talk about when getting into college. And I did not want to leave that out because, of course, we understand that some financial aid has been affected because of COVID-19, and households have been affected because of COVID-19. So I wanted to talk briefly about that as well. So COVID-19 and financial aid. So financial aid negotiations may be more flexible due to COVID-19. Let's face it, 2020 was a hard year for a lot of us. You know, some of your parents, or if you're a parent watching this, you may have lost your job. Okay, there may have been changes in income within your household. May have been some medical things that you may have had to deal with, or, you know, God forbid, death due to COVID-19. So the economy has shifted, right, because of COVID-19. So what does that mean? That means that you want to make sure that you talk to your college or university about your financial need, especially if your parents have been hit hard. They may still be trying to look for a job, or they lost their job during that time period. You want to make sure that you are being as transparent as possible with that college or university about your financial situation. This is a big thing that we talked about last workshop. You, as the student, have the right to accept or decline certain things within your financial aid package. Okay. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, I want you to go to the previous video that we did for financial aid. And we did an exercise to walk you through how to do this. The reason why I wanted to bring this up again is because if you feel that you are not getting the best financial aid package from that college or university, you can absolutely decline, and you can go back to the drawing board to talk to that college or university. about your needs and about your situation. Everyone's situation is different, right? And we want to make sure that just like you're excited to go to that college, we want to make sure that that college fits your needs, that it fits your financial needs, that it fits your academic needs. Okay. Just like they're looking for someone that fits their needs. All right. So do not be afraid to appeal your financial aid package if you feel like you are not getting your just due for the circumstances that you or your family may be in due to COVID-19. You also want to make sure that you are exploring extra resources such as scholarships to assist for paying for college. So scholarships are my favorite subject. So you're hearing me say and talk about a lot of different things during these recorded workshops. Scholarships is one of the things you're going to hear me talk about all the time. There are so many scholarships that are available if you are going through some type of financial crisis or circumstance within your family. There is a lot of assistance that is available to you, okay, within need-based scholarships. So you want to make sure that you are taking advantage, doing your research, and applying for scholarships that may be able to assist you with paying for college. All right. So I know that was a nutshell. We talked about standardized testing. We talked about what standardized testing. We talked about the COVID-19 vaccine. And we also talked about financial aid. Chris, I just wanted to know, do we have any pending questions about COVID-19 in higher education that I may not have addressed during my presentation? I want to make sure that I hit as many questions and topics as possible.
Absolutely. So we don't have any questions from our folks out there right now, but if you do have questions in the future, you can feel free to reach out to Aisha with the information here or to us at the Field Teen Center. Our email address is teencenter@freelibrary.org. You can reach out to that to register for our upcoming workshops or just with general questions. We're librarians. We help point people in the direction of answers to their questions. So that's a great resource for you.
Absolutely.
You can, and if folks are more old school, want to do, call us on the phone. I don't want to throw the schedule out there because this is a video and who knows when people are watching it, but typically during normal business hours, you can reach us at 215-686-5395. And that's the number for the Field Teen Center. So just because this video is coming to a close doesn't mean you can't still ask us questions. You've got Aisha's information there. You've got our information. And we're definitely looking forward to these upcoming workshops.
And I hope that you got as much information about this workshop as possible. Bottom line is, if you do not know, if you're not sure about COVID-19 and if it's a test optional school and if they accept the vaccine or don't accept the vaccine, contact that school. That is the bottom line of this workshop. So many things are changing, right? And so many things are progressing on a day-to-day basis. And you want to make sure that you stay as abreast and up to date as possible, because this is your future. And we want to make sure that your future is successful. That's what we're here for. So thank you again, Chris, for this wonderful opportunity.
Of course.
I want you to check us out. Our next workshop is going to be December the 4th. We're going to talk about college fit and planning, making sure that you are selecting the best college for all of your needs, financial, academic, social, and all of the above, and how to plan that out, right? As a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. So you don't want to miss this. If you are interested, definitely register at teencenter@freelibrary.org.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Aisha. And